So here's what we've established so far, that this is definitely seeming to be the strongest team. The seeming is only there because they haven't won the finals yet, and if they do, it'll definitely be the strongest team. So I want to come now to what can go wrong, because it's very easy to get carried away in this rah-rah spirit of, yes, the cup's home, but it's not home yet, and therefore, what can go wrong and how to guard against it. Let me start with Amrit Mathur. Amrit, your biggest fear, how to guard against the fear so we don't end up then in post-mortem discussing 15 minutes of madness again?
Listen, I think we have to remember that this is the final. It's the World Cup final. We are playing at home. So it is not just a match, it's the occasion which is important and the pressure that comes with that occasion. So it is something which both teams will be worried about. Big game, so much is riding on it. So it's pressure, and the team that adjusts to that pressure better are going to win. One more point. A lot has been said about home advantage. I don't think we really have any home advantage more than anybody else, because I think Cummins said some time back that the Australians have played more white ball cricket in India than in Australia. Because of the IPL and the multiple tours, everybody knows conditions. The only advantage we'll have is a packed Narendra Modi Stadium with more than 100,000 people rooting for India. So that can be intimidating.
No, but is that an advantage, or could that potentially also be additional pressure? Because the Aussies...
I think it's an advantage because we have so much support, and it's also intimidating to the other team that, you're not only playing those 11 against you, but you have so many at the stadium, in a way against you. So ultimately it boils down to pressure and the performance on the big occasion, because there is a sense of history attached to a World Cup final. It's not just any other game. It's not even any other game of any other tournament. This is the pinnacle. And everybody knows that you are remembered for victories on occasions like this. We remember 83, we remember 2011, and hopefully if things go right, we will remember 2023 for a very long time.
Okay, so I was at the Prime Minister's Diwali Milan at the BJP headquarters. I was told that the Prime Minister is going to be at the Narendra Modi Stadium on Sunday. Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, has been invited as well. It'll be packed to the rafters. I viewed the India-Pakistan game. It's a very exhilarating experience if you are shouting and cheering. Does this put extra pressure? Because the Aussies literally have nothing to fear. Nobody really has much expectation from them because they lost their initial matches. So do they come in then having lesser to lose? In India, the Prime Minister sitting there, 1 lakh plus people sitting there, Amit Shah and everybody else, and they're like, could the occasion get to them?
It can, but this team does so far seem to be immune to pressure, the way they are played.
Pressure to aayega na, sir?
No, I'm saying that it does appear that, but yes, I think India has to guard against a couple of more factors. See, Amrit was the manager of the Indian team in 2003 World Cup. India were in the finals against Australia, and suddenly everything crumbled.
And they looked good till the finals.
They looked good, and they were very confident they would do well, but pressure does strange things to people. I think what India has to be very careful is 2-3 factors. A, have they peaked a bit early? Because the kind of intensity...
Do you think they peaked early?
Oh, no, one doesn't know. One hopes that they carry on this momentum for one more game. But with the kind of intensity they have displayed, which is like, it's almost jaw-dropping at that. You don't see teams for 10 matches play with that same intensity, the same energy, as if every match they are playing is the final. So that's a possibility that whenever they come under pressure, like against New Zealand in semi-finals, there were moments when New Zealand were batting and it appeared they were fighting back and they could chase that target. India suddenly looked desperate. Yeah. Suddenly you saw for those 5
catches
minutes,
fell down.
different team, not the same team which was playing in the otherwise. So they have to guard against that. And one more important factor, I think, is what kind of a wicket. It's a home advantage. They would obviously want a slow, low turner, like where there is no bounce. They would want that suits Indian conditions, but things at times go wrong.
See, what can go wrong?
Australians are a tremendously resilient team. They know, as we all know, that they know how to win. They've been there, they've won the World Cup more than any other team has. So they can fight back. They can, the same factors which India think is to their advantage, Australians can turn it around and
Nikhil, what's your number one worry?
Well, I think, law of averages tells you that you were talking about that.
lurking somewhere in the corner.
No, as you mentioned, that bad half hour. I would say that bad half hour has already happened for India, and it happened against Australia in the first league game. They had lost their first 3 wickets for just 2 runs on the board. Your 3 batsmen in the pavilion, you set the cat amongst the pigeon.
But that time, I think Kohli was lucky a catch got dropped, right?
Yes, but I'm saying you had the bad half hour. From there, you went on to win that game. So I would say...
there wasn't this kind of pressure.
Well, Rohit Sharma summed it up very well. He said every World Cup game is pressure because it's a round-robin league. Had you lost that first game, you don't know where your campaign went and you'd be struggling to qualify for the semi. So every game that you were playing was full of pressure. And I think why I don't think this team will have anything, a bad half hour or bad 1 hour is because if you look back, and I think the primary reason is the captain in Rohit Sharma. I was there when they lost that semi-final at the T20 World Cup where they underperformed in the semi-final.
They just played too slowly.
Yes, because they had that fear of failure. And I think consciously they took a decision then that you have to eliminate that. And you know what? They walked the talk since then. You often hear sportsmen talking about you've got to concentrate on the process, forget about the result, just eliminate the result of your mind. You'd often say that this is lip service. But if you look at India's performance closely in this World Cup, they've done exactly that. They've eliminated the result from their mind. They've just concentrated on the process. That's the reason why they've been able to overcome the pressure, and which is why if I'm an Indian fan, I'm not too worried for the final.
Shishir Hattangadi, what's your number one concern?
I've got 2 concerns, 2 things that have really helped us play so well, and we can take numbers into consideration. But the opening partnership, even against New Zealand, it was actually Rohit and Shubman who sort of played freely and gave us that start. Rohit may have not got big numbers, but he was able to dominate that attack. So hopefully, the early start is important to make a stamp an impression on where you're going in this game. If you lose early wickets, which can happen in any game of cricket, it could create a sort of ramp on the motorway, and that may be difficult to handle. And the number 2 is if your opening bowlers don't start off well. Given that you bowled so consistently throughout the tournament, if you don't start off well, then again you're expecting that something will explode at the other end, and we might be under pressure. But it hasn't happened. If you look at this tournament, we haven't been pushed into a corner because somebody or the other has stood up, and the form has been good consistently from 1 to 11. So my worry is these two areas have to be looked at. We need a little bit of divine intervention in a big game, a little bit of luck. That will help us believe that, even astrology is helping us. But at the end of the day,
how important is the toss, Shishir? We saw in the semi-finals, India poked up a big score. What if India is batting second? Would that be terrible because there'll be that much more pressure, especially if Australia's got a big first innings score?
Crucial, very crucial, Rahul. The toss will be crucial. If the team that bats first obviously will have the advantage of putting the numbers on the board, and whatever you get, somebody will have to chase them. Yesterday we saw Australia almost make a big meal of a modest total. So this is going to be crucial. But India have never been pushed into a corner in this tournament. So that's probably because they played so well. The point is, if we are pushed in a corner, how do we react? And that's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we'll get some divine intervention, and of course, 100,000 people, just supporting Indian cricket and hoping that this team makes an impression and wins the World Cup. Can't hope for anything more.
Amrit Mathur, how important is the toss? We were lucky we batted first. If we were chasing 340, 350 odd against New Zealand under lights second, would that have been a much tougher ask, you think?
Of course. I think the Indian batting is sort of based on batting first, big score. And as Shishir said, I think the only worry is that in case you're batting first, you lose 2 wickets in the power play, then you're in trouble. Then the other players can't play with the freedom that they've played with over 10 games. So that is a worry. 2 wickets to the Australian pace bowling can happen. It happened the other day when we played them in the first game, and we were, as Nikhil said, we were 3 down for 2 runs, and then dropped Virat. So if we have a bad start, then your batting doesn't play out the way it has done in 10 games. So that's a problem. That's a concern. But if we bat the way we've done, get off to a great start with Rohit leading the way, then a big total on the scoreboard has Australia in trouble.
And then the cup's coming home, of course.
Chasing won't be easy in a big game if you are chasing, say, 300 plus.
Okay, now in the last part of the show, I want to talk about who's the one player who's most important in the view of our pundits to our fortunes on Sunday. You can't duck, dance, weave. Straight question, straight answer. Who's most important in your view and why? I'll put this to Pradeep first.
That's quite a difficult.
Ek pakdo.
I mean, in a team where everyone is performing.
All this we know, all these caveats. Just one player who you think is real, like Shami in the last match, 7 wickets. Wickets at crucial times, coming in, picking the 3rd wicket at time and they felt like they were running away with it.
I would say Bumrah's form. I mean, he's the one bowler who has...
Why didn't he bowl as well in the semis?
Well, hopefully he had this off day already, because he's one bowler not just at the beginning but even later or in the middle overs. If the rival team batsmen are doing well, he comes in and puts on the brakes. So I think Bumrah's form would be very crucial.
So for you, Bumrah is most important?
I think he's the most
Shishir
important.
Hatangadi, who's most important for you? One player, no weaving, ducking, dancing.
Who's this for?
Shishir.
Well, give me one situation. Don't give me one player. I'll say the opening partnership.
I never said this is like a serious. I don't take cricket quite as seriously as I take election psephology and data. This is a fan-based show. One player who's most important and why?
I'm just hoping that we get a start.
This doesn't count. This doesn't count as an answer. Shishir Hatangadi, this doesn't count. You want to do a more serious cricket show? Go with Nikhil. Here, pick one player.
Rohit Sharma. One player, Rohit Sharma, because he is going to set the prelude to the symphony. And that prelude is very important in the way the final goes. So the prelude to the symphony is Rohit Sharma and how he approaches the first power play. And for me, that is going to be very crucial in terms of how this game pans out. Hopefully, if we bat first, or even if we bat second, it's how he approaches. It's a prelude to the symphony. So let's hope it's a Mozart show by India.
Nicely put. Okay, so Pradeep Magazine picked Bumrah. Shishir Hatangadi picking Rohit Sharma. Nikhil Naz, your pick.
Oh, I would have gone with Rohit too, because he performs a double role. One of being the enforcer, the one who starts and gives you that start. If he gives you a good start, more often than not, India will put a total in excess of 300, which more often than not is a winning total. And then he's the captain. He does the bowling changes. He's been spot on so far. So I'll go with Rohit.
Okay, so you picked Rohit as well. Now, I want to go across to Amrit Mathur, but he can't pick Rohit. Rohit's been picked by 2. You pick somebody else. Who's your pick?
Listen, I'll pick Virat. Okay. It's a big game, and nobody understands what to do on a big occasion better than Virat. But in addition to Virat, if I can, take this liberty, Kuldeep Yadav, because Australians are suspect against reading him. Whether it's Maxwell, Gardner, the others. So he could be crucial in terms of middle overs, get you wickets and win you the game.
Okay, so we've had an interesting pick. You've got Kohli, 2 for Sharma, 1 for Bumrah. It'll be interesting to see which of these boys actually comes to the party. For the time being, Shishir Hatangadi, Amrit Mathur, Nikhil Naz, and Pradeep Magazine. Thank you. My producers are telling me to give you my X Factor. Frankly, I have no clue. Okay, I have no tools to come up with who's likely to play best. I mean, let's just hope that any of the people our pundits have picked actually help us win. What's most important is winning. It doesn't matter who gets us across the finishing line as long as we end up on the winning side. So thank you for joining us. All the best for Sunday. Ahmedabad though